Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. I'm Mikael. I work at TV4 with business development, basically in the sales department. But I'm also a board member for the joint industry committee that measures TV and online video. And really what's interesting about the TV business and the video business is basically a battle for time. It's a battle for attention, and the time is attention in our world. And happily, or luckily for us, total video consumption is increasing. And what I've done here, it might be a bit strange to some, because I've actually put Netflix with TV. Not only linear channels, but also broadcast advertiser-funded platforms, subscription video platforms, and Netflix and everything else. And then I put all the other online video platforms on the other side. But that's basically it, because TV is no longer a linear, distributed, scheduled viewing. It's everything. It's across all screens, and it should be measured across all screens. And luckily, I'm in the TV business, where 80% of all the consumption is still, and it will be in a few years as well. Of course, online video will grow faster because it produces a lot of more content and across a lot of more platforms, but TV is still strong. And the thing is, right now, that out of the ad sales, it's skewed currently. Advertisers place more money in online video than they do in TV, considering how the time is divided. But to be totally transparent, which we like to be in Sweden, if you break out each part, of course, traditional broadcasted television is declining. It's been declining for a few years. Viewing is shifting. And if I add the broadcaster VOD service, which we have in Sweden, which is quite successful, it looks better, of course. But the real growth in Sweden is the subscription consumption. So the subscription services, the Netflix, the HBO, the local versions of Viaplay and C More, which is our service, that's what's growing, of course. But TV is stable. TV as a whole, and TV has a future. It's just a shift of the viewer either paying with paying with time, with consuming advertising, or actually paying with money to not see advertising. And online is taking form as well, of course. But the offer that we can offer advertiser is, of course, television and the advertiser-funded VOD, which is declining and will probably continue to decline if we don't do something radical. So, measuring. Why is measuring important? Well, for once, I could show you all these wonderful figures. Secondly, I will go into a few parts, but we have a joint industry committee in Sweden called MMS, which is sort of like BARB in the UK, or SCO, is it? Yeah, SKO here. It's owned by the big broadcasters, including public service, and public service viewing is non-commercial in Sweden. They also pay for the measurement, and so does advertisers and media agencies. The operation is a bunch of committees working with the technical part, the development in the future, and the current status and technical aspects and standards which are in place. But it's an industry venture. And the vision for MMS is to launch and maintain a currency across all video, all platforms, all screen, all devices, which is kind of a huge vision to have, because we have both accepted by the industry as a currency and all video. We have a long way to go, I can say, still in Sweden. We have come a bit, but we have a long way to go. We've made a few developments through the recent years. One is that the measurement doesn't only include television. 4 years ago, the biggest online publishers actually joined the measurement and are part of the currency. So the biggest online publishers measure video through the same system that measures television. So we're not a TV-centric jig, we're a video-centric jig, which is huge. About 3 years ago, we launched a total measurement across all screens for commercials, which is really important for advertisers because they want to measure the effect of their advertising across all screens. 2 years ago, we actually expanded the TV panel to 3,000 households. We're a fairly small country, about 10 million people, and before we had 1,350 households, so nearly tripled the panel. And when I started working with television, which was way back 20 years ago, the panel was 800. So a huge expansion across these years. And I will get into why expanding the panel is quite important. We've launched demographics for both commercials and programs for all online content that is measured. And last year, we also included TV broadcasted through the distributors' TV Everywhere services. So when a viewer is watching linear TV on their mobile through a distributor, we actually measure that today. And that's included in the total measurement, which is quite big right now because every distributor and platform owner wants to have linear television in their service to go everywhere. And that is measured and included also. So a little bit about the setup. Well, we have the TAM panel, which almost every country in the world has a TAM panel. It's a Nielsen-based TAM panel, which is now 3,000 households. We had a board meeting last week, and they showed us the recent audit, because we do audits on the panel as well. And this time they audited the correctness of the panelists. So when they're sitting at home and watching television, they actually call the panelists up and ask, are you watching television? Are you alone in the room? Did you go to the bathroom, and did you log out of the panel? That is kind of crazy, but crazy good, because we have over 90% accuracy of the use of the logged service in TAM panel. That is crazy good. So every advertiser can feel confident that when someone leaves the room to go to the bathroom, they actually log out of the panel. So the viewing that we report are the actual viewing that occurs when a person is sitting in front of the screen, which is great. For online, we have a census measurement, which is ComScore, SDK-based, installed in every player, every device across all publishers that are measured. And we have an online panel through Kantar. And the whole model is actually being modeled by GfK. So we have basically all the major vendors or measurement companies included in our model. Sounds a bit complex? Sure, it is, but it's also very robust. And the recent development is that we actually installed a streaming meter in all the Nielsen households, which is now worked on as a kind of router panel household-based video consumption, which we are currently analyzing the data, trying to get it to TV standards to be included in total measurement, which is great because then we can measure all video across all screens in all the households, including YouTube, HBO, Netflix, etc. So, why? It's super complex, it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. It's quite expensive. Not really expensive, but it costs a bit. Well, first of all, if we were only in the TV business, well, here's the investments for the Swedish market. It's about 6 billion Swedish kronor. 10 kronor is 1 euro, so about 600 million euro market. It peaked in 2012 and slowly declined. Then we had a push up. But I mean, in the future, when linear television is declining, so will investments continue to decline. But we're not in a linear TV business. We're in an online total TV business, basically, total video. And the video market is growing in Sweden. Last year, it was 1.6 billion Swedish kronor, and it's expected to grow, to continue to grow. So as a TV company, we can't be a linear TV company. We are a total TV company. So this is important. We need to follow the money, and we need to follow the eyeballs. The other thing, when we expanded the panel more than double the size, was we saw that TV viewing for smaller channels in niche targets fluctuated a lot. From week-on-week viewing, we had major fluctuations in viewing. So the variance could be over 70% on a week-by-week basis, which is terrible. But when we introduced a larger panel, the actual viewing stabilized. So the fluctuations reduced by over 40%, which is great, because then we can plan and estimate viewing much more accurately in smaller channels and smaller audiences. The other part is the problem with zero rating spots. Channel 7, which is our second largest channel, the total rating inventory across these years actually reduced by 30%, which is a lot. It's not due to the panel, it's just that traditional linear viewing is declining. But since we expanded the panel, before we had almost over 20% zero rating spots. That is inventory that we can't use. It's impossible to use that as an advertiser. We can't charge advertisers for that avail. So after we increased the panel, we actually reduced the number of zero rating spots to below 10%. Even with a smaller inventory and lower viewing, we have fewer zero rating spots, which is great because then we can utilize all our inventory and plan and optimize campaigns more efficiently. Our largest channel, TV4, actually has kept the viewing. We have the same inventory last year as we did before with the old panel, but we also reduced the number of zero spots in that large channel as well. We didn't have much zero rating spots, but we almost reduced it to zero, which also is great. So more inventory and better ways to plan and deliver our campaigns. And the third point is measuring online is that right now we're measuring more inventory across more publishers. The total measured impressions has increased by more than 100%. And when we included all the TV services for the operators, our OTT offering for TV4 actually grew by 230%, almost. So we're measuring more across more screens, and we love to see more medias and publishers being included. And the final point is for advertisers, of course, previously you can measure TV, and you could probably measure online through a panel or something separately, but usually you have your TV reach and you have your online reach. But right now, the advertisers want to know, what's my total reach? Well, we can deliver that since 3 years ago. We can deliver reach across all our platforms, all our channels as a total in different demographics. And this is really what the advertisers want. They want to be measured their advertising across all screens and also across different publishers, where you can evaluate TV, linear TV, and an online publisher, which delivers incremental reach to my campaign. We can deliver that right now. But there's still development to do, because we are in the people's business, and as many of you might know, for online, we're not really measuring people, because we're basically saying that a device is a person. And a mobile phone is, of course, personal, but it's not a person. And certainly not when we're talking about the big screen, because our online video consumption, more than 50% is on the big screen in the home. They're just replacing the linear remote control TV4 with a press play button on their smart TV. It's still TV consumption, but on the big screen. And we know that a big screen is impersonal. It's not one person watching all the time, because we actually made a survey about it. And what we see is a bigger screen equals more viewers. On average, the big screen has 1.7 viewers per stream. So in total, across all devices, 1.5 viewers per started stream. And that's what we hope to measure in the future, because in the digital world, you usually work with some gross reach, whether it's impressions or page views or something, and then you have some sort of technical reach, whether it's browser ID or device ID or something like that. And if you have a login service, you can measure reach based on accounts, and you might have a panel, which should be similar to a login service, but we actually want to measure the co-viewing, because we want to measure the people in front of the glass. Not the device, but the people. So, and it's still a bit apples and pears, but we're getting there. And hopefully within 6 months, we have co-viewing across all our online services as well. So that's the rollout plan for Sweden, to include co-viewing, scientifically and statistically correct measured co-viewing across digital. Because there are countries that include co-viewing, but usually it's an index that they just add on. We want to measure the actual co-viewing. And the apples and pears also includes YouTube and Netflix's, because they aren't measured at all. And for the first time, MMS published a report, and this is reported viewing, where they actually added up all the services. So SVT is the public service. They also have, of course, online video content and online video platforms. And for the first time, MMS actually added everything up. So we can actually say what is the total reach for each media company. And public service are the largest, TV4, second largest. We're still larger than YouTube in terms of actual reaching people, if you add everything up. And this is great, and this is kind of how we packaged our new products, because this year we launched a total TV product. And you might think, I know you talked about GRPs versus CPP and CPM. Basically, we're saying it's all the same. It's just math, because in television, if you buy 100 ratings in 20 to 49, the audience size in Sweden is about 4 million, so you get 4 million impacts. 100 ratings equals 4 million impacts. But in television, you optimize against the target, but you get a lot for free. Some people will probably say waste, some will say bonus, or, well, it's non-paid for impacts, basically. And for television, as a broad media, we broadcast, so about 30% of the impressions are in the actual target group. That's basically how TV works. For VOD, you just flip it the other way around. You want to buy 500,000 impressions, with a universe size of basically 4 million, that's 12.6 GRPs. That's just how the math works. But in digital, we can actually influence that impact more effectively. So we might deliver 75% in the audience, and you have 25% outside. So that's how we think about the total TV. You can use both CPM, CPPs, but it's basically the same. The unifier is that it's all third-party measured, not our figures. The linear figures are measured by the Nielsen TAM, and the Vodis, Comscore, and Kantar. It's not our figures, it's a third-party measured figures and reported. We have 10 audiences in linear, and 3 of those are total TV products. And it's all 100% third-party verified impressions. Of course, we sell run by station, specific placements, programs, national and regional, of course. And we price both as a CPP and a CPM, but for online video, we actually charge for 100% completed views. So it's CPCV. Cost per completed view is the currency we use for online, just to measure online and deliver online at a TV quality. That's basically how we do it. And for video also we have login data, so we sell it as a data product as well. So we have first-party verified data, and we actually verify that data so we basically put a social security number on each created account just to verify that the age and gender and everything information is correct. If it's not, we don't use it in our data product. That's basically how we do. And we also sell, specific placement, run by station, pre-mid roll, etc., frequency capping. But 100% completed views is the currency that we use. And why do we think that measurement is important? Well, you need to have transparent measurements. And given the amount of fraud that Karen just told us about, advertisers shouldn't have to pay for verification. We strongly believe that we need to deliver a transparent measurement with TV data across all platforms and certain quality in the media delivery. It should be already filtered from all the fraud measurements and everything, and third-party verified. That will, as we see it, future-proof the TV business. And the question in moving on isn't really, are we doing enough? Because we are doing a lot within measurement. It's rather, are we doing it fast enough? Because everyone is moving so quickly in the space. We're creating new versions of video across all screens, and it's hard to keep up, actually. And that's really, in the end, the battle for time. Yeah, that's it.